Hi everyone, I'm Rachel Tessman from StampYourArtOut.com, and today I'd like to share with you some outside-the-box ideas that I created with the April 2021 Paper Pumpkin Kit from Stampin' Up, titled So Cool. These kits are delivered to my mailbox each month and contain everything I need to make fun, creative paper crafting cards and projects. This month's kit contains supplies for making 12 fun-shaped cards, 3 of 4 different designs. Each kit also includes a publication like this one with directions, tips and photos, details about the kit, and a link to a how-to video so you can assemble the cards and projects as intended. The kits also include inks and stamps that can be used again and again after the consumables are used up. This April kit contained a Bermuda Bay colored ink pad and this exclusive stamp set. A clear block, which was included free with my first kit for mounting and using my stamps, and a scissors are the only extra supplies that I really need to provide to complete the kits as is. Paper pumpkin kits are just $22 plus tax per month in the US. Shipping is included. You control which months you get your kits, and there's no commitment or obligation. Because the kits are produced through Stampin' Up, the colors, images, and supplies always coordinate with many other Stampin' Up products. I'll be using some of these as I share my alternate projects. You can find the items I used listed below and linked to my online store. You can also look below for links to learning more about Paper Pumpkin kits, starting your subscription through me so I can spoil you with exclusive ideas, gifts, and prizes, joining my Paper Pumpkin fan club on Facebook where you'll see even more alternate project ideas shared daily, and if you're watching my video on YouTube, a link to my website where I've shared photos of the projects I'm going to share with you today. You'll notice in this video that I substitute that mini ink pad and clear block from my first kit for this larger version of the ink pad and some ergonomic blocks. You won't need these, of course, but they are available from Stampin' Up, and they're a bit easier for me to use while I demonstrate in my video. Your kit also comes with adhesives, but you'll see me using additional ones, such as my seal adhesive for ease in demonstrating. I'm excited to create, so let's get started. So the reasons that I share alternate projects is because I want you to know that you don't have to make the kit projects as intended. For example, I made each card very close to the directions of the kit that the kit gave, and I did not include the twine on mine. I just decided I didn't want to. So this is one of the kit cards. You can see it opens like this. These cards are very simple, by the way, because this kit was originally designed with the idea of keeping kid interaction in mind, working with your kids and having them do something fun with you. But, of course, I'm going to show you some different possibilities with this kit. But aren't the cards cute? They're just so adorable. All right, so let's go ahead and start with an alternate project that is beyond that. That's the second reason that I do alternate projects, is because I want you to think outside the box. What else can you do with these kit supplies? So we're going to grab our paper trimmer, and we're going to start with some white cardstock. This is our basic white cardstock. I'm just going to go ahead and cut it in half at 4 1/4 inches, which is half of 8 1/2. I'll use my dark blade to cut it in half, and then I'm going to rotate one of these pieces the other direction and position it halfway from 11 inches at the 5 1/2 inch mark. And we'll go ahead and use the light blade now, and we'll score. So we've got a card base, and we're going to take one of the pieces from the kit, so one of these little mini cards, and we're going to cut it in half. So I'm just going to place it in my trimmer so that this score line is lined up with the channel or the groove in my trimmer. And we'll use the cutting blade and we'll slice it in half. And then I'm going to cut very carefully so that I remove this white edging here along the bottom and the stick that holds the popsicle, because we're going to convert that into a door. We're going to make a little miniature house. So we remove the white, which means we need to bring in a special kind of adhesive that works a little bit better on those tiny little areas. I'm using some adhesive called our multi-purpose liquid glue, and I'm just going to position a bit of it here to get it started, and then I'm going to wipe it into the thin white areas. I'm barely squeezing, and we're going to carefully add that along the bottom of our house. The nice thing about glue is that you can kind of maneuver it for a few seconds before it dries. And so I was able to kind of position it right where I wanted it. Now we need a little handle on our door so that we have a knob. So I thought I would bring in some of our white embellishments. This is our Pearl Basic Jewels. And I'm just going to pick up one of them with the tip of my scissors. And we'll set it right here to make a little handle on our door. Isn't that cute? So we're going to turn this into a house card. Why not? Let's bring in some of the olive colored cardstock. This is our old olive. And we're going to cut it a little bit skinnier than 4 1/4 inches. We're going to cut it at 4 inches. And then we're going to do some tearing. So I'm going to hold my cardstock like this, and I'm just going to tear. I think I'm going to tear a little bit higher here. And I'm pulling the right hand towards me, and the left hand is kind of moving the other direction. So what I'm doing is I'm exposing the core of the cardstock, which is a little bit lighter. You can see there. The cardstock is dyed all the way through. Isn't that awesome? And then we're going to flip this around, and we're going to kind of position this the way we'd want it to be on our card, layered together. We'll angle that in here, and we'll trim. So now we have a couple layers of foliage to put behind our house to make it look like it's sitting in the grass and trees, okay? So we'll mount that onto the front of our card. We'll use some dimensionals to kind of give it a little bit of shadow. And we have a wonderful sticker that is in the sticker sheets. These are like bonus little pieces. They're supposed to be for sealing your envelopes, but we're going to grab one of these stickers here, the sunshine, and we're going to put it on the top corner of our card so that it peeks out behind our house. So we're going to adhere the greenery that goes behind first, and we're just going to line that up so that we have about 1/8 of an inch going around the sides and the bottom. And then we're going to position this just where we want it to be. We're going to add some adhesive behind the house here, just along the bottom. And we're going to connect the house. Oops, let's line this up better here. We're going to connect the house with that grass. And on this card, I'm going to bring it up just a little bit higher. I have another finished card, but this one I'm going to add some of that twine. So I'm going to bring it up a little bit higher, which covers up a little bit of the sun, but that's okay, we can still see it. Okay, and then because we didn't really, put adhesive all the way up to here, that's where we're going to add dimensionals. We're going to kind of overlap our dimensionals and place one there and one there. That'll hold that piece a little bit tighter. And then we'll put a couple down here and ones at the top, and then we'll pull off the release paper. Oh, I forgot to do something. This is where we're going to bring in the twine. So we're going to wrap around, and I should not have added these yet. Hang on. They haven't quite bonded yet, so we're going to peel them up, stick them back on our dimensional sheet. Okay, this is where we're going to add the twine. So we're just going to take and wrap around a couple times here. We'll tie a knot. It's going to stick to my table, you guys. It's okay, I'm not pressing it down too hard. And then we tied a bow, and I'm just going to bring this down a little bit here. We'll trim that off in just a minute. I added the release paper back on because my dimensionals were making me stick to the table. All right, and you see how I overlapped it there? So now we can go ahead and add this directly onto our card front. And then we can come in and trim up the ribbon or the twine. And there we have our finished outside the box idea, turning a popsicle into a house. Who knew, right? Here's another one with the kiwi version. That one I did not add the twine on. So fun cards. You could give these as housewarming cards. Good luck to your college student as they move into their new dorm. I don't know. Anyways, fun cards for somebody who's got a little house to celebrate. This next card goes a little bit further beyond thinking outside the box, and we're going to use a card-based color that is really close to my tabletop. So I added in some white grid paper. We're going to cut our cardstock in half this time in the other direction. So half of 11 is 5.5 inches. Using our dark blade, we're going to slice through. We're going to rotate half of that piece. Half of 8.5 is 4.25, and we'll use our light blade and we'll score. So now we have our card base in soft suede color. By the way, that green was Old Olive. I don't know if I mentioned that. Okay, so let's use our bone folder and give it a good crease. We have our card base ready. I've also got a few other pieces that I've pre-cut. We have some crumb cake cardstock, which is slightly smaller than the front of our card. It measures 4 inches by 5.25. We've got some basic white that is the exact same size as the crumb cake, and that's for the inside of our card. We've got another piece of crumb cake that is 4 inches wide, but it's an inch tall. That's going to go on the inside as an accent. And then we've got a couple designer papers, and these come from a pack of designer paper called Ice Cream Corner, and you can find that in the online store. The link is below. You can also find that in the January through June mini catalog. This is the back side of that, but we're going to be using this side. Oh, and those pieces measure 3.25 inches wide by 4 inches, or tall by 4 inches wide, and then we have 3.75 by 5 inches tall. So it's slightly smaller than our crumb cake layer here. All right, we're going to bring in one more piece, and that is our basic white, which is 2.25 inches by oops, sorry, I think it's the same. It's going to be the same width as this. So 3.75, let's just trim that right now. 3.75 inches by 2.25 inches. And we're going to stamp on this using our watermelon stamp. So we're bringing in our watermelon image from that stamp set, and we're going to bring in a coordinating color of ink. We're really thinking outside the box on this one, you guys. This is soft suede ink. And we're going to stamp that down so that it's positioned about 1/4 inch away from the top and the side. Now we're going to connect another watermelon image to the one we just stamped. We're going to line it up with that straight line and press it down, and that should give you about 1/4 inch down from the bottom too. Do you see what it's turning out to be, you guys? I'm going to bring in a marker that is the same color as the ink pad. So I have a soft suede marker. This is from our Neutrals pack of markers, and I need a straight edge. And I'm going to kind of just eyeball, but I could mark here. I'll just put a little mark. That's where my center is. And I'm going to make a line going straight across. The marker tip is a little bit thinner, so I'm just going to go back and forth. I'm going to rotate it, and I'm going to now cut these sections in half with another line. And I've done the same there to divide this into 8 slices of pizza. So now we need to bring in a color that is close to a pepperoni color. This is Cajun Craze. And we're going to use the little speckle stamp and stamp some pepperonis. We'll bring our soft suede ink back in, and this time we're going to do some masking, actually eliminating, we should call it. We're going to ink up just the birthday word on happy birthday by, keeping the happy off the edge of the pad. We'll stamp that down, and then we'll clean off our stamp really well. In fact, we're going to even press it onto our grid paper to make sure that there's no faint images coming off that stamp again. Now we'll ink up the happy, and we'll stamp that above. So it fits into that little space. And now what I've done is I've added just a little bit of crumb cake coloring around the crust area of the pizza, leaving the cheese area more of the white color, like mozzarella. Let's go ahead and layer up our pieces now. And we'll just position this right through the middle. And now we're going to add a little bit of an embellishment. We've got our sequins here. This is our Sequins for Everything pack. And so what I've done is I've added my glue dots from the kit in various areas, just kind of random areas, as if they're kind of floating. And the Take Your Pick tool is very handy for transferring the glue dots and then taking the backings off. And now we're going to use the opposite end, and we're going to pick up some of our sequins. That one was stuck together. And just add them to the tops of the glue dots. Love that tool. And there's our finished card. Pizza. Who knew, right? The next idea that I have for you is using 12 by 12 basic white cardstock. You could also use the 8.5 by 11, but we're going to be using the 12 by 12 on a scrapbook page spread. And so I thought I would bring that in to talk about how easy it is when paired with our 3 by 3 envelopes to create miniature little random acts of kindness cards. So you're just going to cut in half, then cut those 2 pieces in half, then cut all 4 of those pieces in half this way. And when you fold each of those 8 sections, you get a 3 by 3 little card that will fit into our 3 by 3 envelopes, which are actually slightly larger than 3 by 3. What are they? They're 3 1/8. 3 1/8 by 3 1/8, but they're called 3 by 3 in the online store. So let's go ahead and cut. The nice thing about this trimmer is it kind of stops your paper at the 6-inch mark. So great for working with this size card or any other time that you need to cut a 12 by 12 piece in half. All right, so we're just going to score 1 to get it going here. It's a much simpler project, but it's going to use up our stickers in maybe a more efficient way. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our stickers and we're going to create these miniature cards. And you can certainly use the Bermuda Bay ink on your cards. I just like to have my basic black colors, so I'm using the Tuxedo Basic Black for my other samples that I have for you, but I'll show you with this card how easy it is. We're just gonna, there's a card right there, right? But I'm also gonna add a little embellishment to it, and that is the rhinestones. And there is that finished simple little note card. We're going to make another one. This time we're going to bring in the Sweet Ice Cream stamp set and the Tuxedo Black ink. I'm bringing this in because it's a stamp set that coordinates with the Ice Cream Designer Series paper. And I just think it adds a few more sentiments that are great to use. So I've already pulled them out and mounted them onto some clear blocks. This tool makes it so easy to add rhinestones too. I should have used that on my first card. So there's another one. I'm going to make 2 more really quickly. So not very many supplies are needed to make those cards. You have 10 stickers per sheet, and you get 2 of those sheets. So you can easily crank out 20 little mini random acts of kindness cards that you can bring along with you, hand out to people when you want to send them a sweet message. So you can see just with this kit that you don't need to have a lot of extra product to do some alternates. And wow, we more than doubled the cards in the kit if you consider each one of these a little card. 20 cards plus the 12 that you would already make. That's a lot of cards. The next project is a little bit more detailed. So, as you can see from these beautiful designs, the beautiful coloring that you have on the cards of your designs, the artist did some kind of watercolor wash and then did some speckles with water to kind of help lift some of the color in certain areas. We're going to get that same effect, but our cardstock that we're going to use is just the basic white. And, oh, I've got the flip side of it, the basic white. And what happens when you do watercoloring on the basic white is that it bends and it gets distorted. It's not a real strong cardstock. So instead of doing a watercolor wash first, we're going to use blending brushes. They are fun. They're one of the latest trendy crafting tools out there. You may have seen them in several videos if you're out there on YouTube looking at crafting videos. Stampin' Up! Carries them, and what I've got is a bunch of them, one for each of these colors. And we're going to do is we're going to color a strip of cardstock. We're just going to do a smaller portion here, and we're going to do it in the green and the red color. I've also brought in a dirtier piece of grid paper, inked up one. So the color that is the red is actually terracotta tile. Stampin' Up! Has done a revamping of when they're releasing catalogs, and in that thinking of releasing the catalogs at different dates, they are not retiring the January through June mini catalog until a couple months after the annual catalog. And this color here, terracotta tile, is leaving us. At the time that I'm recording this, the terracotta tile is actually gone. It's sold out, and it will be gone for good on May 3rd. But there's another color that's very close to it, the Poppy Parade. And so we're going to use that color with our reddish blending brush, and we'll use the Old Olive, which is this color here, for the greenish. To use a blending brush, you're just going to, you're going to do a circular motion to pick up the ink. These are very, very soft bristles that are dense. They're really close together on the brush. Start off your paper just to get the darkest color released first, and then you start blending in a circular motion onto your cardstock. And you can see you start off with kind of a light color, but you can continue to add more ink on top if you want it darker. We're going to go back and forth between the reddish color and the greenish color. Poppy Parade is a little bit brighter than the terracotta tile, but it's going to serve its purpose really well. And the more you work with it, the more blended it looks, but I kind of like that splotchiness because I feel like it's a little bit closer to the look of the watercolor. We're actually going to bring in a toothbrush. So this is a tool that a lot of us have at home, or that we can find, in just a little cup. I'm using one of those medicine cups. And you can see it's already got little driplet marks, and we want some big ones, so we're just gonna kind of go like this. And that'll help release a couple bigger drops. You can see it's already starting to have that effect on the color. And then we can come in and just kind of do a little splatter by taking our thumb and pressing it against and pulling back. You don't want to do it too much, and you might not even see the effect of it until, I don't know, about 5 minutes later, but you can already see what's happening to our slice of watermelon. Yes, that's what I created, was a little slice of watermelon that we're going to put along the edge of our scrapbook page. So we're going to set that aside to dry. I'm going to bring back this strip really quick and just talk about this. This color here is the Bermuda Bay ink color that you have in the kit. And then I use Blackberry Bliss, which is a coordinating color of the kit. and bumblebee for the yellow. Old Olive and Poppy Parade were also used on this piece. I could take this piece and I could stamp some of these little popsicles here. I could stamp them here and there throughout this piece and cut them out, fussy cut them out, and have some cute little popsicle cards created by having this designer paper that I made. We're now going to put together the rest of our scrapbook page. We're going to slice off about 3/8 of an inch. You could even do like a 1/2 inch here. Let's just do a 1/2 inch on this card. And then we're going to take and hand trim, because we want to have an even amount of white on the bottom of this watermelon piece. So this watermelon is going to be a main image on our scrapbook page. We'll just set that aside. For this one, we'll trim again. And we're going to now slice this so that we're starting at the center. Here, let me mark that. So it's about, let's see, if this is about 5 1/4 inches wide, then we want to have a little mark here at about 2 5/8. This is about the halfway point. So we're just going to take an angle from that little spot, and it doesn't have to be exact, and then we're going to slice away, but we're not going to slice through the middle. We don't want to slice it completely in half. We want to kind of have it off a little bit. So now we have a couple of slices of watermelon, but if you look at this, they look different. They don't have that white edge. So that's where this comes in. We're going to use this same matching cardstock, and we're just going to put a little adhesive along the edge. And we're going to connect it so that we have about the same amount of white space as we have here and here. So now we're going to trim. And we now have that even white border all the way around. So let's take this other section, and I think it's going to be, yep, it's going to fit. And now we've made sliced pieces of watermelon. Yay! We have a whole watermelon circle. Look at that. Very fun. These are going to be added to our page. I've laid out the elements that are going to be on my page, the main elements. So I've got my water splattered little strip over here, and it's going to be accented by some of our black silver metallic mesh ribbon. And then I've got my watermelon slices. So I've got some red, 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 and up here I'm going to add a title. And what I did for my title is I decided to use my computer. So basically I just wrote out on a Word document what I wanted it to say, worked with the font, practiced by printing onto regular copy paper, and then because my printer allows me to put in cardstock because it only bends this way, I was able to print out onto our basic white cardstock. Water Day, it was one in a melon, RR. But you could use stamps, you could use writing, you could create your own title. You could even just use the words that are on the stamps in the kit and have the words say happy birthday. Okay, it's coming together. So what I've done is I've added some ribbon over here too to kind of balance out that ribbon that was on the right-hand page. And I added bows, which is a fun little texture. Put those on with glue dots from the kit. I've also added some glue dots underneath this strip of ribbon with to kind of secure it. If you put adhesive all the way along, you're going to feel it through this ribbon because it's kind of it's a mesh kind of ribbon. So you only want to have it in strategic spots. I put some here, and then I put a couple glue dots here, and then some on the back to tuck it in. The photo sizes, photo mat sizes. I have photo mats that are kind of the true digital size photo mats that you would need. So normally those photos are 4 inches by 5 3/8. So my photo mats are 4 1/8 by 5 1/2. This one, this one, this one, and this one. And then this photo mat is 3 3/4 inches by 4 1/4 inches about. And then we also have another one here that is 4 1/4, or I'm sorry, 4 1/8, but it's a little shorter, and it's 4 3/4 of an inch tall. My strip that I had decorated is 1 1/2 inches wide by 12 inches. The green, which is the old olive cardstock, is just an 8 1/2 by 11 sheet on top of the 12 by 12 white. And my strip that's up here, that for my title, is 1 3/4 inches by the 8 1/2 inches in that direction. You'll notice that when I printed it, I made sure that this was shifted over a bit so it would have room for that angled watermelon here. But again, do what works for you. You know, technology-wise, not sure if your printer would allow you to do something like that, but if it does, all I did again was just type it up on a Word document, change the colors around and that sort of thing. Okay, the last thing is just to add a few rhinestones. And then I've cut some extra basic white cardstock that is 1 3/4 inches by 4 1/8 inch, the same width as this photo mat. And I'm just going to add that underneath. Normally I would probably write on it first. This is my journaling area. One thing that would be cute to do, but I don't know if this is the perfect punch or not, but before you actually add your watermelon slice, you could take a scallop circle or a scallop oval, some type of punch that would allow you to punch into the edge or the top of your watermelon slice, and then it looks like a bite mark. I'm showing you this double oval punch, and it does have a scallopy kind of look to it, but it's the teeth would be like tiny little teeth instead of normal sized teeth, and plus it's an oval, so you couldn't really angle it the right way. Or anyway, so that's why I didn't use that one. Add this back on. But I also did want to tell you that I've added in this image, this stamped image right here, to give seeds to that watermelon slice. So I guess I added one more thing. Now those are the finished pages that I have for you. The last idea is how to double the cards in your kit. And we're going to make full-size cards. We're not going to have the shaped look anymore because we're going to be opening them up, cutting them in half, and using one half for one card, the other half, which is right now white, for the other half of the cards. So these 12 cards are going to turn into 24. The items that we're going to add in will be the basic white pack of envelopes. You get 40. We're going to probably need 24 of those envelopes. 12 of those will be for housing the extra 12 cards for when we mail them, because you get 12 envelopes with the kit, but you'll need another 12 from that 40 for mailing the other 12. And then we'll use another 12 envelopes, so 24 total, for the inside layers, because we're going to be using black cardstock, so we need an inside white layer. And we're also going to be making some extra sentiment pieces, because these sentiment pieces here that are already on the cards, we're going to leave as is, and we're just going to cut some extra white pieces for our 12 extra cards. Now the twine, you can see, if you make the cards as is, normally has 12 inches of twine per card. We're going to cut that down so that you can use twine on every single card, which means we're going to allot 6 inches of twine per card. The silver accent, the little glitter paper that's behind these pieces on these cards, we're going to use the silver leftover piece and cut some accent pieces from that. So I've already cut down, and I've showed you how to do that in the video, my basic black cardstock into 4 1/4 by 11, scored it at the 5 1/2 inch mark. This is what all the card bases will look like. For our silver, we're going to cut that down by cutting off this longer end into a strip and cutting off this longer end into approximately the same size strip. And then we're going to cut these right down the middle, right here, and then we're going to cut the edges off. And we're going to go about the same distance as the section that's sticking out here. So I'm just eyeballing it, putting it in the channel and slicing. Same thing up here. We'll flip it over. Now you've got all these silver accent pieces, and you have 6 of them all together. So all you need to do at this point is just cut them in half, and you'll have 12 extra. So your white half of your card bases is where you need to get artsy fartsy, and you can either do that with the method that I shared earlier, or you could take, anything. You can use Crayola markers, crayons, whatever. If you're doing this with your kids, they're going to love this part. So they're going to make an extra popsicle. So you just cut it in half. You have 1 for each card. I've already colored one of my popsicle white halves. I did it the same way that I demonstrated in the video with the blending brushes, splattering a little bit of water on it, and then I took one of my markers and just colored in the popsicle stick. If you're going to do extra kiwis, well then you're gonna get very creative. But you could instead take and just color this the same way that you colored your other extra white popsicle pieces. You don't have to get that artsy. And then for your choice of these two, I would say that either one is just as easy. It depends on how good of an artist you feel you are. But as far as doing this blending brush method, it might be a little bit easier to do it with the watermelon rather than the rainbow, because you have to get in a small space to make those thinner lines for the rainbow. So it might be easiest just to do a big red area and then go along the edges with the green and then add some black little seeds to it. So once you've colored in all your white halves and you've made your extra card pieces, you now can start decorating and putting together your cards. And I think the easiest way is just to tilt most of the pieces on there like that. You can mix and match. You could have the kit pieces that come as is on the card that you've done as a drawing or a coloring piece, and then the other pieces can come in onto this piece here. So let me put those together, but first let's take and cut our envelope. So I said you're going to need 12 extra envelopes for inserting your second batch of cards into for mailing. But then you're going to need another 12 for doing the insides of your cards and the labels. So to do that, you're just going to open up your envelope, your flap of your envelope, and you're going to slice off those sides like that. It's just a real thin slice, and like that. And that's going to give you a nice big white piece right here. So we're going to cut just inside the score line, especially if you don't have a super sharp blade. You don't want to cut right on a score line ever. Just cut right inside of it. And then we'll do the same thing to this side, cut right inside of it. And we have a piece that's about 5 3/4 inches long this way. So half of that would be 2 1/2 plus 3 more. It would be just before the 3-inch mark. So it would be 2 7/8. The way that I did that, by the way, I don't know if anybody wants to follow along, but I took and cut 5 in half. 5 in half is 2 1/2, right? And then because this was 3/4, I added 3/8 to that. 1, 2, 3, and that brought us to 2 7/8. I love math. So now we have layers for the insides of 2 of our cards. Those will just go inside here like that, a place to write on. And then for the extra envelope sections here, you can take and make your label pieces. And I would just say, cut a couple strips. We'll just go like this. And the strips would act as, here, let's get that little edge off of there too, because that's where the score line was. But the strips are going to act as sentiment strips for your longer words. And these pieces here, I believe, are they're just a little over 5/8 of an inch. So you can do the same measurement, or let's just make it an even 3/4. So you could do them like that. You can get a few strips out of actually one envelope, or you can even take and cut some squares. So we can do some 1 1/4 inch size squares, and that will take care of our sentiment pieces that are a little bit different in shape. So let's just set these aside over here. I'm going to cut this really quick. And these you don't have to cut in half exactly, just, you know, slice them down the middle somewhere. So there's one, and that's the inside of it. I'm going to take the popsicle that the kit designed and the sentiment piece that I've got and put those on. So there's another version of the way you can make your other cards. And then this little sentiment piece here that I've cut from the envelope, you could put that on with either a long, piece of silver if you want to, or you could take and cut your silver even further in half, maybe have one on the top and the bottom, or you can just eliminate it if you want to, but there's another way to use those silver pieces with your sentiments that look like that. So yes, you can double the cards in the kit, and then of course with those 3x3 cards, 20 more cards, you could have 44 cards from the kit if you really wanted to. Now that you've watched my video, I hope you can see that there is so much more to these kits than meets the eye. With just a few extra supplies and some imagination, you can go beyond and make so much more with these super affordable kits. I hope you gained some inspiration from what I've shared. Thank you for watching. It builds creativity to think outside the box. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you can catch more paper pumpkin videos that I've shared using past kits and more that I'll share with future kits. Also, be sure to visit my website at stampyourartout.com so that you can view close-up photos of these projects, see photos of other paper pumpkin kit ideas in future and past posts, and see many other great ideas that I share using Stampin' Up! Products. If you want to get spoiled with extra goodies, gifts, prizes, and extra exclusive paper pumpkin project ideas, remember to get your subscription started with me as your demonstrator using the link below. I hope you enjoyed this video tutorial. Now I'd like you all to go and stamp your art out. Bye-bye.